care if he is blind, you should not be fucking around with Stephen Lang. I mean, unless it's his character from Avatar, you do not fuck around with Stephen Lang. I mean, that guy is an imposing threat, no matter how you look at it. But, welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We are wrapping up August 2016. And like I said before, ordinarily this is when the studios would start putting out the stuff they don't really believe in. This is this is kind of the second dumping ground of the year for the weeks between the first 2 weeks of August and the last 2 weeks of September. We're starting off with a pretty good note here with our first movie, Don't Breathe. And as you can see from the trailer, it focuses on 3 home invaders who find themselves trapped and hunted in the home of their blind target. The 3 invaders are played by Jane Levy, Dylan Minnette, Daniel Zovato, and of course the blind target is Stephen Lang. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, and Jane Levy and Fede Alvarez worked on Evil Dead, which was a pretty good remake of that movie, and he's turned out to be a pretty solid director overall. He's also done the Girl in the Spider's Web, the Millennium Trilogy reboot continuation, whatever you want to look at it. The one that doesn't have Rooney Mara in it. But also, he did Alien Romulus recently, which was a pretty good movie. And, lo and behold, this is a really good movie, too. A very simplistic movie. It's a simple premise where you have these 3 people who are trying to survive, and you think, okay, it's a blind guy. Clearly, like, he's not going to be much of a threat to us. But then again, it is Stephen Lang, one of the most imposing threats you can ever have in a movie. And yeah, like I said, you don't fuck around with a guy like this. And yeah, it's one of those movies where it's just, typical white people going into places they shouldn't be going into and facing the consequences of their actions. But this one works overall because it's a movie that works because of the simplicity of it. It's a movie where you have these people trying to not make a single amount of noise so this guy doesn't come and kill them. And it is a very tension-filled, very intense movie in general. It's a movie where, yeah, even the tiniest bump in the night could be your deathbed in this movie in particular. Like I said, Stephen Lang is an imposing threat, and Jane Levy, Jane Levy is really good in this movie. She's a very underrated actress who, sadly, I really do feel like she got a bad rap overall because she was in this, and then following that, Monster Trucks came out and essentially kind of killed her film career before eventually making a comeback in Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist a couple years later, which was a terrific show. This is really good. This is a really good movie, and like I said, it's a very simple story. It doesn't do anything too high-tech or too intense overall. It's basically kind of the opposite of Evil Dead in general here. In fact, that's what Alvarez decided to do with this, basically. Have a movie with less blood, an original storyline, more suspense, and no dependence on supernatural effects, which he felt were overused. And you can see what happens in that case here with this movie. It's a movie that works on that level in general, and it's relatively short. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's just about at 2 hours long, and there's never any points where it feels like they're stretching it a bit here. Or you felt like okay, you can wrap it up now. None of that happens in this movie overall, and that's the beauty of this movie in particular. It's just like everything about it just works. It's a very good movie. It's a really well-made film, highlighted by the great performance by Stephen Lang in here, and just the tension that builds all throughout this movie. I really enjoy the hell out of this movie. I think it's a great film. I even like the sequel, Don't Breathe 2, which is not as good as the first movie, but considering how horror sequels were around that time, you could do much less than that movie was. I mean, that movie actually had effort put into it, but I digress. Don't Breathe is a pretty good movie overall, So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the type of film you expect to open up on the weekend before Labor Day, and that is Mechanic Resurrection.
Mechanic Resurrection, rated R, in theaters August 26th.
Yeah, it's probably not a good sign if your movie is showing off the best scene in the film, where Jason Statham takes out the guy with the pool on top of the building. I mean, that's the coolest scene in the movie. But Jason Statham, Tommy Lee Jones, and Jessica Alba. Wow, this movie would have been gangbusters in 2006, not 2016. This is a sequel to the remake of The Mechanic, which also featured Jason Statham in it, even though many of the people from that movie are not back in this one except for him. Arthur Bishop hides in exile, drifting between fake names, weapon caches, and escape plans that already assume betrayal. It goes through teens. Then Crane reaches through the cracks and uses Gina as leverage, forcing Bishop in a brutal circuit of engineered killings across prisons, penthouse, and fortified compounds. Every job tightens the trap. Bishop keeps pretending he's detached, but the relationship fractures his professional code and clouds the cold efficiency that once kept him alive. Crane understands that weakness completely. The closer Bishop gets to saving her, the more he risks becoming exactly what he spent years trying to erase. that's pretty much about it. I mean, this is pretty much a Jason Statham action movie, and not one of his better ones. And the first Mechanic wasn't even that great of a movie in general. There was times when it did show some promise to it, but it never really lived up to that full potential, in my opinion. But this one, it's about pretty much the same thing. Scenes that had some cool elements. I mean, the best scene was what we just showed you. So it's the best scene so much that it's literally on the poster for the movie. The poster is literally the scene where Jason Statham is about to crack open the swimming pool on top of him, and he's looking above, it's just like, oh, I hope this works, and I hope I can find a way out of here. Like, yeah. It's probably not a good sign if the best thing about the movie is the one thing you keep showing all over the place. But as far as the movie itself goes, it's not one of Jason Statham's better movies. I mean, Jason Statham can make some good action movies that have come out around this time. The Crank movies, the War, what was another one? The Bank Job. Well, Bank Job came out in March, but he has made some pretty good action movies overall. This one, not one of his better ones overall. Not a bad film, but just mostly forgettable. The only scene that is worth it is one you could just check out online, and you really don't need to waste your time with the movie in general. So, not much more to say about that one. That's Mechanic Resurrection. So let's go ahead and move on to probably my favorite movie of the entire week. As much as I love Don't Breathe, I want to talk about this one. I've been waiting to talk about this one because this is such an underrated gem of a movie. This is called Southside with You.
Invited me to a community event.
So what's this boy's name?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
That's future President Barack Obama to you. Show some respect, damn it. Who would have thought that in the end of Barack Obama's presidential career in 2016, that we'd be getting his, honestly, the first feature film adaptation with him in it as a character. And this is based off of a true story where, it's kind of like the Before Sunrise, except instead of Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, it's Barack Obama and Michelle Obama going on a first date. Harvard law student Barack Obama, played by Parker Sawyers, while working as a summer associate at a Chicago law firm in 1989, arranges to meet Michelle Robinson, played by Tika Sumpter, who's a young lawyer and a supervisor at the firm, ostensibly to go to a community-organized meeting. However, when they meet in the morning, he tells her that the meeting is at 4 p.m., and he wants to fill the time till then to get to know each other. She is initially apprehensive because they work together, but agrees. They visit an African art exhibition at the local art center, which features an Ernie Barnes exhibit, and share stories about growing up while walking through a park. At the community organizational meeting, Obama gives a rousing speech which is well received by the audience, including Robinson. In the evening, they view a screening of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing and have their first kiss outside of an ice cream parlor in what winds up being their first date. And really, that's really all the movie is. I mean, it's basically Before Sunrise, except it's the Obamas going on a date for the first time, and it's a really damn good movie. It's one that really does not get the attention it really deserved. I mean, it came out, it was a well-received movie, but box office-wise didn't really do all that much overall. It was a film that just kind of came and went, and it's a shame because it's a really, really good movie. And again, these are the type of movies that I like. I like movies like this. I like the Before trilogy. I even liked Ryle Lane, which ended up being very high up on my top 10 list of the movies of 2023. And it has kind of the same little setup here. Two people who really don't know each other at first, but they spend a lot of time talking with one another, going on this walk across whatever city they're in, and just getting to know each other more. And they did a pretty good job, and they usually are very good. They do a pretty good job of making it work because you like the chemistry between the two leads, as you do in this movie here. Parker Sawyers, I thought, did a very good job as Barack Obama. I've always liked Tika Sumpter. I thought she always is very good, no matter what movie she's in. She's great in this playing Michelle. I thought Vanessa Bell Calloway was really good as Marion, and it did a very good job of showing what these two eventually getting to know each other, that would eventually end up having them falling in love, and of course, the rest is history, quite literally history. And yeah, it's a phenomenal movie. This is written and directed by Richard Taney, who I don't remember if I've ever seen him do anything else since then. I think this was actually, this was the first movie he ever directed, and you haven't heard that name very much often, but he's actually a staff writer over at Pixar now, and I don't know if he's actually worked on anything, but that's what it is according to here on Wikipedia. It says that he spent 2 years writing an unannounced movie for Pixar. I don't know if it ever happened or not, but it's good to see that he's working in a company like that, because you could tell from this movie the guy's a pretty damn good storyteller, and to take something like this and make a movie out of it that works really well is an accomplishment overall. I think it's a very solid film, a really entertaining movie with two very solid young actors working off each other really well. It's a sweet movie. It's a very heartfelt movie. It's a movie that you don't really have to like the Obamas to really appreciate what the film does. It's a terrific movie. It's a film that I really do recommend checking out. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. One of my favorite movies of the decade. One of my favorite underrated gems of the decade. I mean, this is the definition of an underrated film that sadly has not gotten the attention I think it deserves. It's a really good movie, and one I highly recommend checking out. It's a really good film. South Side with You. Seek this one out if you haven't seen it. So there you go. That's South Side with You. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Hands of Stone.
Hands of Stone, in theaters everywhere, August 26th.
Which I got this confused yesterday because I thought it was one that had Miles Teller in it. We're not going to get to that one a little bit later on. Bleed for This was the movie I'm thinking of with Miles Teller as a boxer. But no, this is a movie where you have... this is basically a biographical film about the career Panamanian former professional boxer Roberto Duran, played by Edgar Ramirez. You also have Robert De Niro, and I did not realize this, Usher was in the movie too. Usher is in this film as well. Ellen Barkin is also in here, as well as Ana de Armas, who I thought was in Bleed for This, but that's apparently not the person I'm thinking of here. But I keep thinking of that movie overall. When exactly did that movie come out? It is coming out this year. Bleed for This doesn't come out until November, so we still have a little bit to get to before we get to that one. So, okay, I'm going to put that aside for right now. But Hands of Stone, yeah, as you can probably tell, I don't remember this movie all that much. I didn't even know Usher was playing Sugar Ray Leonard until I saw the trailer again. Just like, wait, really? He's playing him? And he doesn't look like he's that bad overall. I mean, there's definitely some stuff about the movie that looks promising, but at the same time, though, it definitely feels like the typical underdog sports biopic. And I think a lot of people were really kind of keen to that right away, and that's why this movie didn't do so well. It was actually kind of a flop when it came out. It cost $20 million to make. It didn't even make back $5 million overall. I mean, that's how much it made. And yeah, but then again, it's also been sitting on a shelf for 3 years. I mean, they finished filming it technically 2.5 years. It finished filming in March of 2014, and then it was sitting on a shelf at the Weinstein Company since then. It's just kind of like, yeah, that's usually not a good sign for a film like this, but, I mean, it doesn't look like the worst, but at the same time, it doesn't look like it's the greatest either, so maybe it's good, maybe it's not, but I don't really have any plans on seeing it anytime soon, so there you go. Not much more to say about that one, Hands of Stone. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. We wrap up another month, and we're going to jump into 2 more weekends in September next time around, because Labor Day weekend does not really have a whole lot of notable movies in particular, only 2. The Light Between Oceans, which is notable for being the last film from Touchstone Pictures, quite literally, because on the same day it was released, Touchstone Pictures was shut down, so... there you go. That proves that they're officially out of the business after this. But we also have Morgan, a.k.a. let's mix in a ripoff of Splice, and let's try to get this in before Megan comes out in about 7 years' time. So we'll take a look at those 2 movies for Labor Day weekend, but then we'll also take a look at the films of September the 9th, because that's when we have some much bigger movies, including Tom Hanks starring as Captain Sully Sullenberg and Clint Eastwood's Sully. We have our generic movie that should have been a Lifetime movie of the week in any other time period, but because it's released by Screen Gems and features a couple of notable actors, When the Bow Breaks, we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at Lionsgate trying to create another animated movie for the kids. Not as bad as Norm of the North was earlier in the year, but The Wildlife, we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at The Disappointments Room, which is coincidental because it was a disappointment at the box office. And anything else? Anything else at all? I don't think so. I'm not seeing anything here. So what do we got? 2 for Labor Day weekend, and then 1, 2, 3... So 6 films overall. 6 films overall to take a look at over the course of 2 weeks, which we'll take a look at here tomorrow here on the channel. So stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.